Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an updated foundation routine, so if you want to see how I get my skin to look like this, then please just keep watching. So to start off, this is my bare face. I have absolutely nothing on except moisturizer. I always moisturize my face after I wash it in the morning. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys my foundation routine. Okay, so now that I got my eyebrows all done, I am going to be filming another video after this, so that's why I did my eyebrows. So to start off with my foundation routine, I always use a primer. I like to use something that will fill in my pores and then something that's going to help the foundation go on smoothly and also stay all day. So I do use two primers for that, and the first one I use is the Benefit Porefessional primer. Basically, as the name of this product is, it is a pore filler. That is why it's called the Porefessional. This really does help to fill in the pores around this area of my face. It just really helps to enclose them and make sure no product gets put inside. And then also I like to use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer that's oil free. As you can see, I am almost out of this. I absolutely love this primer. It's one of my holy grails. I just love this. I will always repurchase it. I think this is great if you have oily skin. It is a silicone based primer. I really love it. I think it holds your foundation in place all day and it's a great lasting primer. What I like to do is I just like to pat it into my pores. Instead of rubbing it in, if you pat it in, you'll really notice a difference that your pores look more filled in and they're really less noticeable. And I like to pat it all around my nose and on my cheek area. I also like to put it on my forehead, just right in this area. And then just a little bit on my chin. And then I like to use the Smashbox primer for the rest of my face. And just like to use it on my cheeks. This primer is really good if you have any acne scars. It just really helps to smooth them out so your foundation glides on a little bit smoother. Now before I go on and put my foundation on, I do like to use something under my eyes just to prep that area for concealer later on. And any eye cream will do, but I've been loving the Mary Kay Indulge Soothing Eye Gel. It's not an eye cream at all, it's just a cooling eye gel for that area, just to help reduce any puffing or anything like that. And I just really like this because I think it preps the area for concealer and helps it go on a little bit smoother. So I just pat that in. And you want to make sure you use your ring finger, just because that is the most delicate finger you have and it doesn't put a lot of pressure on that area of your eye. So for foundation, I have two foundations that I love going back and forth between. It just really depends what I'm looking for the day. So the first foundation I absolutely love, and I've talked about it in a couple of my videos, well, mainly a lot of them, and that is the L'Oreal True Match Foundation. And mine is in the color W3. The reason I love this foundation is because it comes in so many different shades. There's the warm shade, the neutral shade, and the cool shade, and for any type of skin tone you will definitely find your color in this range. I think it's an absolutely great foundation, especially if you have oily skin. It does help to keep you matte all day, and it does have SPF 17 in it, which is an added bonus. The other foundation I love to use, and a lot of people here on YouTube absolutely love this, especially if you have oily skin, and that is the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation, and mine is in the color Buff Beige. Now the reason I love this foundation is because it is super long lasting and keeps me matte all day. When I use this foundation, I find that it doesn't break up in my nose area, and it does help keep my T-zone completely matte, especially if I set it with a powder. Now, this does have SPF 20 in it, so both of them do have SPF in it. They're both absolutely great. This one will stay longer on your skin if you're oily. It will keep you completely matte all day. This one you may have to retouch up a couple of times during the day, just depending how oily you are, but this one is definitely great for both oily and dry skin. This one, if you have dry skin, I would just make sure to moisturize your face before you apply it, just because it will cling to dry patches. Now for the sake of this video, I am going to use the L'Oreal True Match foundation, just because my skin does not feel as oily as it usually does, so I don't need that extra hold throughout the day. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this, and I like to apply this with either my Real Techniques buffing brush, and it's just a synthetic packing brush, and I really love it. It's really dense and soft, or I like to use it with my beauty blender, but I do like to go in with both. So I just pour a little bit on the back of my hand just because there is no pump with this bottle, and I just like to take my stippling brush and just apply some on the brush, and I just pat the excess on the other part of my hand. And I like to work in sections, so I always start off with my cheek on the outer part of my face, and I just like to pat it in. Now I just like to take my beauty blender and just go all over my face again, just making sure it's blended out properly. This just really helps to create a flawless finish. Now concealer is probably one of my favorite things to focus on with my face. Now my issue is I have really dark like under eye circles. They're not so bad, but they are just deeper in this part of my eye, and they are more of like a greeny purple color. They're not so blue as most under eye bags usually are. And what I like to do is I like to correct that color before I apply a concealer. So now one of my favorite products to use for correcting my under eye area is my Bobbi Brown Corrector in Bisque. Now I know this is expensive and a lot of people don't want to spend the money on it, so I do have another option for you, but this is just what it looks like. It's basically like a little thicker consistency, and it just helps to correct the under eye area. So if you have blue under eye tones, then you would want to use like an orangey shade to correct that. And if you have more of a greeny under eye area, then you would want to use something with more of a pink base to it. Now, if you want to go more drugstore, one of the drugstore products that I found that helps to correct the color of my under eyes is the L'Oreal Touche Magique Corrector Concealer. And this is just what it looks like. It comes in this tube. I believe there is a new packaging for it, but this is the packaging that I have. And it just comes in a little twist up packaging with a little brush, and it's just a pink toned concealer that will help correct the under eye area. But I do like to use my Bobbi brown corrector, so that is what I'm going to use. And you always want to make sure you put the corrector on before you put your concealer, because that'll just help correct the color even more. So I just like to take my ring finger, and I only use this in the darkest area of my eye. And because this consistency is pretty thick, it does settle into any fine lines. So you just want to be generous with how much you have. And make sure you pat it in and not swipe. You just want to be very careful with this area. Now for concealer, my absolute favorite concealer is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, and I have mine in the color NC20. I got it a couple shades lighter than my skin tone just to help brighten up my under eye area. So I use this to help conceal my under eyes and as well as brighten up that area. And the only thing I hate about this concealer, as everyone else does, is the pump. It's very hard to control how much product comes out, but you just want to be very, very careful with it. So I just like to put it on my ring finger, and then I like to pat in this area. And I do like to pat it in a triangular form just to help brighten up the area more. And I do take it over my eyelids just because my eyelids are a little bit dark, and this concealer has a technology in it that makes it not crease, so it's really good for the under eye area, especially if you have fine lines. I don't know if you can tell how much brighter that side of my eye looks than this side. Now at this point I do like to take the tip of my beauty blender and just blend it out a little bit more, just to make it look flawless. Now for my blemishes, there's a bunch of concealers that I can use for this, but for the sake of this video, I am going to be using the L'Oreal True Match Crayon Concealer. Now the reason I like this concealer is because it is very creamy and easy to blend out, and it definitely matches my skin tone perfectly, and this is in the shade W123. Now I don't have many blemishes peeking out, but I'm just going to apply it to any blemishes that I can still see. And then I'm just going to pat it out with my finger. It's very easy to blend out, no effort at all. You just want to press it into your skin. And then to set my T-zone, I don't set my full face just because I only get oily in my T-zone area, well, mainly just my nose. And for that, I do like to use either my MAC Prep+Prime translucent powder, and this is just a translucent pressed powder. I think this is great just to touch up throughout the day if you need to. But I absolutely love my Rimmel Stay Matte pressed powder. It's completely like worn off. I've had this for so long and it's just a great pressed powder. All I do is I just take a little bit of it, tap off any excess, and I just like to press it on my nose and just a little bit on my forehead, and then where I put the primer just to hide the pores a little bit more. And then what I also like to do is I like to set my under eye concealer, and for that I definitely like to use the MAC Prep+Prime just because it is such a finely milled powder that it won't cake up under my eyes. And I just like to use a little thin brush and just press that under my eye. And this will just help lock the concealer in all day. So now that I have my whole face finished, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you want to see how I did the rest of my face makeup, I will have a makeup tutorial coming up in a couple of days, so just stay tuned for that. And until next time, I will see you in my next video. Bye!